to do ornaments and different fingering techniques on the low whistle. So there's a lot of really simple techniques that you can do that can make your low whistle playing sound a lot cooler and more interesting. So I really recommend learning these. They're not a ton. I'm just going to go over some of the basics, but they will dramatically influence your playing. So let's start with doubling a note. So if we want to play a note twice, we've got several methods. We can do tonguing, and I'll explain these all in a minute. Or we have cutting. Or we have this other method that I don't know the name of. And those are three of the main methods to cut a note to where you can play it twice. So let's start with tonguing, which is the most common, and it's super simple. All it is you basically say two in your mouth as you blow. So you're blowing the note, and then you touch your tongue up to the roof of your mouth as if you were saying the word two, and it breaks the air, so the air can't pass, and you get a split second of no noise, and then you pull it right back off, and you get like that. So it'll split the note, cut all air off, and double the note for you. And then another favorite method of mine is called cutting. It's got many names, but I'm used to it being called cutting, and that sounds like this. And all that is let's say you're playing an A, like I am here. You're going to take this second finger and just pull it off for a really quick second and put it back on, so it's like bouncing that finger, like this. So it interrupts the note a little bit with a tiny bit of the B and cuts back to the A, so it doesn't sound like a note change, because it's just this little quick bounce that will cut the note. And then the third method I like to use is the opposite of that. So if I were playing an A, I would pull the top finger off for a split second. It would sound like this. And this is a technique that's used in a lot of foreign styles. It's very common in Native American flute playing. So there's a bit of more of a method to this one. How it works is if you were playing a D, you would use the G to cut, and you can figure this out. I heard this is how you do it, and I actually like the way it sounds a little bit different if I use different fingerings. So find the fingerings you like, but what I like to use is if I'm using the D, E, or let's see, if I'm using the D, E, or F sharp, I will use the G finger, the third finger from the top, to bounce. So, and then if I use the G, A, or B, then I will use the top finger. So it's like that. And again, you can play around and find out what you like, but those are the methods I like. And it's, as I said, used in a lot of foreign styles of playing, and I really like to play that a lot. And then, so that's how we can double a note, play a note twice. If you see it on the tabs, you play this note 3 times. You can use any one of those techniques to get 3 notes out. And then another really common thing is sliding. So sliding is where you slowly go from one note to the next. You're probably used to hearing people doing it on guitar or stuff like that, where you slide up the neck, and it's just taking some time to go from one note to the next, like this. And so it gives it this cool slidey effect. It's used in a lot of blues, and it's used in a lot of Irish flute music and whistle music. So all you do here is, this will be easier if you know how to do half holes. I have a tutorial on how to do half holes and alternate fingerings, which I will link in the description, but you don't have to know that. All you need to know is you'll slowly straighten out your finger until you pull it off. So it's kind of curled around the instrument a little bit, and then you kind of straighten it out a little bit, and the more you straighten it, the higher the pitch will get until it comes off, like this. So you straighten it and slowly start lifting it off and slide up. And this takes practice. It's something you're going to have to work up to. Some people can get it right away, but a lot of people, it takes time. It's all of these, most of the techniques, they take time. So that's the slide. And another method I really like to do, I call it hopping. I don't know what it's really called, but it's like where you just kind of bounce the note. So I'll do it two or three times. Where one of my favorite notes to do it on is the A, where I'll just bounce the second finger a few times. So it's sometimes when you just play it, it sounds kind of unnatural, but in a song, so it just gives it a kind of fun bounciness to it. And so all that is, again, is very quickly bouncing your second finger a couple times over the hole. And this is something you're going to have to build up speed on. And that'll just give your music a really fun flavor. And also, another really great one is vibrato. Now, vibrato is something that's really difficult for me to explain. When people tried to tell me how to do it on the whistle, it didn't make any sense, and I had to just figure it out by myself. It's just, like you're singing and you add vibrato in, it's going to be the same concept on the whistle. You just add a tremor in, and some people will do that from their throat, some people do it from their diaphragm. It's going to depend from person to person. So normal vibrato will sound like this. And there's varying, you can have a very strong vibrato, or you can have a really subtle vibrato. I tend to play overall with a pretty subtle vibrato, and then on accentuated notes, I'll make it a little bit more dramatic. So again, this is something, vibrato, all it is vibrating the air to where it makes it shaky, basically. And so however you want to do that, go for it, but I don't know quite how to explain it to you. So play with that, and if you can't get it, let me know in the comments, and I will try to formulate a plan to share with you how to properly do it. So those are some of my favorites. There's also another one, I don't know if you'd call it an ornament. It's running up, so I could be at a low note and then just run all my fingers off going up the whistle really fast. And you can hardly notice I'm hitting every note on the way up. But it gives it this cool rising effect. So if I'm playing an E, then I'll just take one finger off at a time till I get up to the B. Like that. So those are some of my favorite techniques. And if you add them in the right places, they'll really add to your music. And most of them, they're not very difficult, they're not very crazy, but they will add to your music. And make sure you're adding them in appropriate places. So like this technique, I tend to use it pretty much all over because that's what's natural for my fingers to do. But a lot of styles I'll accidentally do it in, they're not meant to do it in, and it doesn't always sound the best. So I'm trying to train myself to do the right technique when I need to. So make sure you're placing them appropriately. Most of these can carry over into any genre you want. And so yeah, that's basic ornaments. And practice those. And Patriot and I post low whistle tutorials every single Friday. So until next week, Patriot and I say bye.